UFC Fight Night, Teixeira versus Lewis. UFC Nashville, boys. Quick picks, quick predictions. You guys already know what it is. It's been a minute since we've done some quick picks, some quick predictions. We did for 317, but I was away for a bit. We're back. We're trying to get the momentum going again. I was away for a while, didn't upload, slowed it down, got a little lazy, but we're back at it, man. Lots of UFC events coming up. We got 318. We got 319 in August, which is a great pay-per-view. So we're going to break down this card. I'm going to give you my quick picks. We're going to start with the early prelim opener, and we're going to end with the main event as usual. Starting off with the early prelim opener of Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez. Opens up this fight night, man, in Nashville. Not a bad fight, to be honest. It's a fight where there's a massive favorite and there's a massive underdog. And it's kind of crazy to say that Fatima Klein is a minus 1,400 favorite when she's lost in the UFC already. She's 7-1. Melissa Martinez is 8-1. Both women are pretty well-rounded. Melissa Martinez, she's trying to drag it into the later rounds, trying to find a decision win. Fatima Klein is trying to find a finish. She's more dangerous on the ground, more dangerous on the feet as well. I do understand why she's the favorite, but a minus 1,400 favorite against a girl who is 8-1, who has won 8 fights in MMA and only lost 1. That's not a bad WMMA record, right? We've seen a lot worse. We're not going to get into that, but we've seen a lot worse. Early pick, I'm going to go Fatima Klein. I think she's a 1,400 favorite for a reason. I don't think she should be, but she is very well-rounded. She does have a almost primal, well-rounded finishing capability. She's looking for a finish. She's hunting for a finish. In her last fight, she got that finish. I think it was over Victoria Dudikova. Really nice finish. She's violent. I think she lost her first fight to Jasmine Jasudavicius, who, if you guys know, I'm very high on Jasmine Jasudavicius. I think she's got potential to become champ or at least fight for the belt one day. She's up in the top 5 right now, so not a bad loss for Fatima Klein. So I think she runs through Melissa Martinez. Do I think she is a minus 1,400 favorite? No, I don't think she is, but she is going to be my early pick. We are going to move on. I think she gets it done by finish as well. I think she finds a sub over Melissa Martinez. We move on, though. Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. Don't give a shit about this fight. I don't like Mike Davis. I'm not going to lie. Mike Davis is a guy who, he is well-rounded. He is fairly dangerous, but he has shown some weaknesses, and in his last fight, he gassed out against Fares Siam. I picked Fares Siam. Fares Siam as an underdog was a steal. Mike Davis, he showed some holes in his grappling, got tired later on, but he is fighting a guy in Mitch Ramirez who's not very active, who has lost in the UFC, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Mitch Ramirez has yet to get a win in the UFC, and he's fighting Mike Davis. Mike Davis is well-rounded enough. I do think he will win this fight. I think he'll win it by decision. Pretty boring decision. Maybe he'll find a finish, but Mitch is quite tough. He's maybe too tough for his own good. I'm going to go Mike Davis by decision as the early pick. I just think he's more well-rounded. I think he's going to be better in the striking department and in the wrestling. His wrestling is good. He just got really tired in his last fight. I believe he had an injury as well. So I hope he's healed up now. He was going off. The problem with Mike Davis is he's got big layoffs from injuries, and it's always a question mark. Did he heal up enough? But I'm going to go Mike Davis as the early pick. We move on to the next fight. Kennedy Nzechukwu, I'm not going to even try to re-say that name, versus Walter Walker. I'm a fan of Walter Walker, man. Back-to-back heel hooks for this guy. Came into the UFC. First fight, he was pretty hyped up, but he was a bit tubby. Lost that first fight. Wasn't a very good look for him, but, he bounced back with the back-to-back wins by heel hook. Early rounds as well. They were against lower heavyweight competition, but Kennedy has moved up. Since he's moved up to heavyweight, he's fought low competition back-to-back, and I think this is going to be a test for both guys, honestly, because Kennedy's got good striking. He can be gun-shy, and Walter, as we know, he's got great grappling. Will he be able to survive the striking with Kennedy, and will Kennedy be able to keep it on the feet where he wants? I think Walter will get that takedown. I just believe he is good enough to go and find that takedown at some point in this fight, and he's good enough to stay on his feet. He's a big guy. He can size up with Kennedy and Nzechukwu, who often is the bigger guy in his fights, but Walter's 6'6", very big. He started putting on muscle, and he's been training with Bogdan Guskov. And I think he is in good shape, and he's got good spirits, and he's on a win streak, and I think he's hungry. I think he's hungrier than Kennedy, honestly. So I'm going to go Walter Walker by submission. I think he's going to keep this streak up. Maybe not a heel hook, but I think he's going to get it to the ground. He's going to find a submission over Kennedy as an underdog as well. He's a decently sized underdog. I understand why Kennedy's good, but I do think he will get taken down. I think Walter will find that sub. So early pick, at least my quick pick will be Walter Walker by submission. We move on. Lauren Murphy versus Eduardo Mora. Pretty easy fight to break down. Lauren Murphy's like 42, 43 years old, absolutely out of her prime. She fought for the belt at one point in her career, and that was kind of her peak. She lost brutally. She got TKO'd. I believe it was against Shevchenko. She got TKO'd. And since then, she's just been on a decline. She's, like I said, 42 years old. I don't think she beats a young, hungry Eduardo Mora, who is very big for the division as well. When she's in there, she just puts on a lot of weight after cutting and making weight at flyweight. So I'm going to go Eduardo Mora. I think she will win this fight. I'm going to say by decision because Lauren Murphy is very tough, very difficult to finish. Even though she did get finished by the highest level, I don't think Eduardo is going to finish her. So I'm going to go Eduardo Mora by decision. She's very good, very well-rounded. Her grappling is quite underrated, and she's very big for the division. We move on, though, to the next fight, Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani. This one I'm back and forth on. Very, very tough. My quick pick, I'm just going to lean with, the person that I feel will have the advantages physically because skill for skill, these guys are very even, in my opinion. Chidi throws a bit less volume, but Jake Matthews as well can be a little bit gun shy. I do think this will just depend on who deals the more damaging shot because I don't think we're going to see an absolute scrap here. I think we're going to see a kind of point fighting match where, I think Chidi will have the power advantage. He's got the height advantage. He's got a reach advantage as well. This guy's huge for welterweight. He should be a middleweight. It doesn't make sense how he makes welterweight, especially at 36. That's the only thing I'll give him is he's a bit old compared to Jake Matthews. So it must be tough for him to make welterweight at this point. But if he makes it healthy, and he's on track in this fight, I think he'll run through Jake Matthews. Not necessarily run through, but I think he'll outpiece Jake Matthews, who is quite hittable. He did take off a round from Michael Morales, but, Michael Morales, that was earlier in his career, and Jake Matthews has only kind of beat lower-level competition. He's just a mid-level guy. I think Chidi is a bit higher level compared to Jake Matthews, just on the sense of power differential, size differential, his finishing capabilities. Jake Matthews is difficult to finish, but Chidi Njokuani does have some good finishes. He just finished Zaleski dos Santos in a pretty brutal fashion. I think I'm going to go Chidi Njokuani for the early pick. I think he's going to get a decision, though. Jake Matthews is very tough, and I think it'll be close. It could be a split, but I'm going to lean Chidi to get it done. We move on to the next fight, Max Griffin versus Chris Curtis. I think this is the main prelim, and it's a pretty good prelim main event. Max Griffin, his career has been up and down and all over the place. Chris Curtis as well. He was ranked at one point in middleweight. He's now moving down to welterweight at, I think he's 37 years old. Very late in his career to be moving down to welterweight. So it is going to be interesting to see if he makes weight. But if he does, I think Chris Curtis wins this 10 times out of 10 times. Chris Curtis is very skilled. He just lost to Roman Kopylov by TKO, but that was at the end of the fight, and he was not even unconscious. That was an early stoppage, and it wasn't even necessary. There was 1 second left to go, but Chris Curtis is well-rounded. He's got good striking. He can defend himself on the ground. He can defend takedowns, where I think he'll just be faster, more powerful than Max Griffin, who's, I think he's almost 40 years old now, 39, 40 maybe. He lost to Michael Chiesa. I think Chris Curtis would run through Michael Chiesa. Not Chiesa, Chiesa. What am I saying? I'm gonna lean Chris Curtis to get this one done. I think he gets it done by decision. I don't think he finishes Max Griffin. Griffin is tough on the feet. He does struggle on the ground, but I don't think Chris Curtis will take it to the ground. But if he has to, he will, and I think he'll out-grapple Max Griffin and outstrike him everywhere. So give me Chris Curtis by decision as the quick pick, man. We move on to the main card, opening up the main card, Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tokos. Low-level light heavyweight matchup. Very tough one to predict because it's just such a low level. Tuco Tokos yet to win in the UFC. Junior Tafa, literally 6-3, disgusting record. But he brings a scrap. He either gets knocked out or he knocks you out. The Tafa brothers, they're just like that. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm going to lean Tuco Tokos as the underdog. I think he's going to out-grapple Junior Tafa. Junior Tafa he's just a flabby light heavyweight. He was up at heavyweight. He's cutting down to light heavyweight. So I do want to see what he looks like. But besides having a little bit of power and he can walk you down sometimes, he doesn't really have any skills. I'm going to be honest. No hate to you, Junior Tafa, if for some reason you're watching. But I'm just going to lean Tuco Tokos for the wrestling. His striking got better in his last fight. I believe it was against, who was it against? Navo Sterling, where it was decent. Honestly, he did decent. And besides getting finished, I think he got finished by Zhang Mingyang. Zhang Mingyang in Dana White Contender Series. Besides that fight, He's looked decent, man. He's looked decent. So I'm gonna go with Tuco Tokos to get this one done by decision. I don't think he finishes Tafa. I think he's gonna wrestle in this one. I think he's gonna try to wrestle, tire him out. I think Tafa's gonna tire round two. If Tafa doesn't get him out of there round one, he'll be tired, and Tukos will take over, or Tokos will take over. Excuse me. So I'm gonna go Tuco Tokos by decision. We move on to the next fight. Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. I love me some Austin Lane, man. You know, he either gets knocked out or he gets knocked out, basically. I'm going to go Vitor Petrino by knockout. Look, Austin Lane can fraud check. He can. He did it to Rebellis to Spain. Absolute fraud checking. And Vitor Petrino has been fraud checked back to back. And if he doesn't get this one done by KO, he is absolutely cooked. I mean, he got subbed by Anthony Smith, about to get in the rankings, got subbed by Smith, dove into a guillotine, got subbed by Anthony Smith at the end of his career. At the end of Smith's career, not a good look already for Vitor Petrino. And then he's winning the entire fight against Jacoby. Jacoby. Is it Jacoby Smith? No, it's Jacoby. It's Jacoby, one of the Jacobys. Anyways, he's winning the entire fight, and then last like 2 minutes of the third round, he gets brutally KO'd. Like a Kamaru Usman versus Masvidal KO. That's exactly what the KO was. Nasty KO. And he's on a 2-fight loss streak, so he needs this one desperately. The UFC is laying him up against Austin Lane. If he doesn't TKO him, he's absolutely cooked, like I'm saying. So give me Vitor Petrino by round 1 or round 2 TKO. Not much else to say. We move on. Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charrier. Good fight. Very good fight. I love me some Nate the Train. Whenever Nate the Train's in town, I love it. You know, he brings a fun fight. Just lost to Doohoo Choi, but it was a fun fight. He got beat up pretty bad. But you know Nate the Train's going to walk forward. Nate Landwehr's always going to walk forward. And Morgan Charrier is a fun fighter himself. Just lost to, who was it? Who was it now? Oh my goodness. He lost on the London card. Sorry, he lost on the London card. It was a close fight, but he got dropped early on. So this is a good matchup for both guys. I think it's a better matchup for Morgan Charrier, to be honest, just because of the age, the speed advantage he's going to have, the power advantage I think he's going to have. But Nate Landwehr is always a dog. You can't count him out. But in this spot, I'm going to go Morgan Charrier as the quick pick at least. I think he will be faster. I think he'll just have a bit more pop in his shots. But I do expect Nate Landwehr to walk forward, be a dog like always, and just eat it and keep going. Nate the frickin' Train is in town. I love it. I do hope he wins because, again, when he gets on the mic, he is very entertaining. We love some Nate the Train. Post-fight presser, man, or post-fight interview is always amazing. But I'm going to go Morgan Charrier. I'm going to say Morgan Charrier by late second round, early third round TKO. I think he'll tire Nate out and just piece him up on the feet at least. We'll go Morgan Charrier as the quick pick. We move on. Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Unk versus man on the come up. Why is the UFC website glitching? I hate it so much, but early pick, I got to go Steve Garcia. I really like Calvin Kattar. I've always liked Calvin Kattar. You know, he's just taking too much damage, though. He's too old in his career to make a comeback, especially against a guy like Steve Garcia, who is a dog, to say the least. This guy destroyed Chase Hooper. You know, he's been destroying not the highest level of competition, but he's been running through the guys that he needs to run through to get himself a spot and a shot at getting into the top 15, which I think he deserves. He was training to fight Edson Barboza. I think that was a tougher fight than Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar's had struggle. He's been struggling with his striking defense. He's been struggling with his striking. He's slowed down a lot. He's taken a lot of damage. That Max Holloway fight changed him. You know, the Max Holloway fight, the Josh Emmett fight, those fights changed Calvin Kattar. And after fighting Yusuf Zalal, I mean, Zalal was running rings. He was running circles around the octagon, but Steve Garcia is going to stand his ground. He's going to throw hands, and I think he's going to have more power. He's going to be the more dangerous striker. He's the fresher fighter. He hasn't taken damage like Calvin Kattar has. So I'm going to go Steve Garcia by finish. I'm going to go late second round TKO for Steve Garcia. I think he's going to get Calvin Kattar retired. I think he's going to get Kattar retired. It's sad to say, but Calvin's just taking too much damage, you know? So I hope he does win. I hope Kattar has a bounce back. There's been some unks bouncing back recently. Usman, you know, Volk. Gee, I can't get more off the top of my head, but there's been some unks bouncing back. I just don't think Kattar's going to be one of them. Give me Steve Garcia by second round TKO as the early pick. We move on to the co-main event. Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. No idea why the UFC made this matchup. Stupid-ass matchup, UFC, if you're watching. But apparently they want Stephen Thompson to end his career fighting somebody like Gabriel Bonfim instead of making him fight a Gilbert Burns, you know, rematching other dudes in the division that could be fun. Instead, they want to make this matchup. So Gabriel Bonfim, you know, he's so-so. He's only lost once in his career. Obviously, that derailed all the hype. He lost to, who was it? Who was it, man? I'm not gonna be able to remember. It's the guy from Denmark who lost to Randy Brown. I'm not gonna be able to remember his name. I'm so bad with names, boys. If you know, you know. I'm horrible with names, but Stephen Thompson's 42 years old. Difficult spot for him here against a grappler. I don't think he's training wrestling. I don't think he's going to be in the workout room every day, getting the reps in on the takedown defense, unless he is really dialed at 42 years old. I don't think he is. Give me Gabriel Bonfim. I hate to do it. I really want Stephen Thompson to win this fight. I will be wholeheartedly rooting for Stephen Thompson. I do not want Gabriel Bonfim to win. I don't want him in the rankings. I don't want him even near the top of the division. I mean, he's not ready for the welterweight division. He's been beating some guys. He beat Chaos Williams, good win. But like I said, he lost to the guy from Denmark, man. He lost to somebody in a horrible way. He lost by TKO, and it was not a clean one. That was only 2 fights ago. So I do want Stephen Thompson to win. I just don't think he will with the age, with the takedown defense being an issue, with the BJJ defense being an issue. I don't think he's going to be able to defend the submission. Give me Gabriel Bonfim by 3rd round submission, late fight submission. I think Stephen Thompson does well early on. He's going to be able to keep this at distance, use his karate stance, keep him backed up. But once Gabriel Bonfim gets the takedowns, he's going to start grinding, looking for that submission, and I think he's going to find it late in this fight. So give me Gabriel Bonfim by submission as the early pick. We move on to the main event. Horrible main event, Derrick Lewis versus Tallison Teixeira in Tennessee, Nashville. If you're from Tennessee, you're going to watch this fight card. I feel bad for you. I'm going to be honest. I feel bad for you with this main event, but I hope it's a good one. I hope it's fun. Derrick Lewis, man, in the 40s. I think he's in the 40s now, fighting a young up-and-coming Tallison Teixeira. Only 1 fight in the UFC. He's ranked top 15. He's fighting in a main event. Makes 0 sense. Absolutely 0 sense. I would have rather see Stephen Thompson in the main event, I'm going to be honest. But give me Tallison Teixeira by TKO. I gotta fade Derrick Lewis here. I love the Black Beast. I love the Black Beast. I hope he knocks Tallison Teixeira out. This is like a triple unk streak here, boys. Calvin Kattar, Stephen Thompson, and then Derrick Lewis. The UFC is trying to eliminate all the unks in one fight night. I'm not even gonna lie, and I'm fading every single one here. I'm gonna be honest. I'm picking all the new guys. I hope at least one of the unks wins, but I don't think any of them will. Tallison Teixeira, 6'7", insane reach as well, 83-inch reach, very dangerous, undefeated, knockout power, got a good chin on him. I don't think Derrick Lewis is gonna land that shot he needs to. I don't think the KO King will come back in this one. I think this ends in round 1 or 2. I'm going to go Tallison Teixeira, round 1 or round 2 TKO. I think he'll finish Derrick Lewis. I don't think he's going to be in the pocket. I think he's going to be up against the fence. He's going to back Derrick Lewis up, use his long reach, and land a 1-2 down the pipe, drop Derrick Lewis, and finish him with some hammer fists on the ground. I just don't see Derrick Lewis finding that shot, that he needs to find that shot. That's his only chance at winning, is if he finds that shot. I don't think he will. Tallison Teixeira, longer reach, taller, got that KO power himself, and he's never been knocked out. I just don't see it happening. So give me Tallison Teixeira, round 1, round 2 TKO. But that's the entire quick picks, quick predictions, boys. If you guys did enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop it down in the comments what you guys think about this fight night. I mean, it's very low level, but it is what it is. We'll take it. I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.